All right, off and running here on a First Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Beau, the great Z, and betwixt, in my instance,
oh yes,
Z, and a fabulous rookie running back, Jerome Ford. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
we're doing well, man. First of all, this is the first time we've got a chance to talk to one another. Welcome to the Browns. Congratulations on getting drafted. What was that like?
Hold on.
What? All right.
My man's in here in a Bearcat hoodie.
He is in a Bearcat hoodie, a beautiful hoodie.
Which
yours
my
is
guess
a beautiful hoodie too.
That was, of course, you played at Cincinnati.
Yeah, last year.
I am here in a Notre Dame hoodie.
Indeed.
That was given to me tangentially because of someone you probably knew at Cincinnati, and Marcus Freeman.
I did know Coach Freeman.
That was my guy at Ohio State.
Much better start.
So one of my buddies is now on the staff, James Laurinaitis. He's on that staff, and so I've known Coach Fick for 15 years. And so this is hoodie on hoodie crime here.
Yeah, they gave you a terrible hoodie.
You think?
I think it's a
That
beaut.
green is
That
gorgeous,
green,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Just losers.
Valid.
Man,
They did win.
Man, they did
They
win.
did win.
Yes, this
that's
is true.
valid. In the they used to always tease that Marcus was and Luke and Marcus were very, very close, obviously, and you know that. But they used to always just tease that Marcus was his son, like his other son was like the way that was. Dad got son.
Nah, it was. I feel like
It was
they
fun.
were just real close friends.
They were the closest. Yeah, very, very much. So that jumped out to me as we were starting. And now,
Yeah, no, much better start.
welcome to the Browns.
Thank you.
I'd be
Good to have
careful though, telling that to JOK. Well, no, we got some Notre Dame guys on the roster here.
He did win, though.
He did.
They
He
played,
did.
and they won
They
the
did.
game.
That's
So
right.
that's
To the victors go the spoils.
yes, absolutely. So, how's this been, man?
It's been great. It's actually been surprising, honestly. Coming from Cincinnati, everybody's Cincinnati fans, so kind of talk a lot of trash about Cleveland in general.
Well, the Bengals are 0-4 against the Browns the last 2 years. So.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that the other
Yeah.
day. That's right. Like, yeah, we're clearly better. We beat y'all 4 times in a row.
That's right. Joe Burrow's never beaten the Browns. It's just a fact.
That is a
like,
fact.
It's a
That
fact.
is a
That
fact.
is just
It's
a
part
fact.
of that is a fact.
That's a
all.
fact.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
he's
That's right.
good though, real good,
He's great.
really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, He's
Big
very, very
fans.
good. He's
Yeah.
very, very good.
But he isn't
So-
good enough to beat the Browns yet.
That's true. So you've been in town how long now? How
I think like 2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks. Okay. What has it been like getting acclimated to what it means to be a pro and being in the building and everything that comes with it?
It's work. It's like something you got to do every day, even when you're not here. So it's been a lot of work. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
You're going into a running back room that obviously there's a ton of talent in it. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson, your coach Stump Mitchell, who played this game at a high level and is one of the coolest guys around. What's it like been going into that kind of a room? And I know you haven't been necessarily around the veterans a ton yet, but I saw Kareem here today, so I don't know if you guys got a chance to talk. What's it been like kind of going into a room like that?
I'm honestly excited to be able to learn behind 3 good dudes like that. Coach Stump, he been great. He just pretty much tell me to come in and attack it like I'm the guy, and to pretty much when the vets come in, to just sit behind them and learn behind them, and just figure out what it means to be a pro.
What when you think about they're in there, you think about the room you're in, you think about the pros. Let's go back to what you have there, and let's go back through your journey, Alabama to Cincinnati. In terms of what Coach Fick and the magic you guys created last year, and I've known a lot of guys who played for Luke, and most people just absolutely love their time with him, and they love how straightforward and honest he is with his players. What did his style do to help you prepare for the moment you're in now?
It gave me a little bit more freedom. So it wasn't as structured as Alabama or strict as Alabama. He kind of gave us the freedom to be young men, and just kind of do what we want to do and make mistakes. And I feel like that pretty much set me up for here, having the time off, being paid and that kind of stuff, just helping me carry myself off the field.
How did you guys? Well, you were in the middle of that run last year, doing that's no one done it. There's no precedent for what you guys did last year at Cincinnati. When you guys were in the middle of that run, were you aware of what was happening and how special it was?
We were, but we were trying to take it one game at a time.
Sure.
Like, that was our thing, just take it one game at a time.
That'll fit in well here, by the way. That's what Kevin Stefanski says.
Yes.
All right, and just whatever happens at the end of the season, just be prepared for it.
I honestly think the styles are very similar. I really do. They're two very, very different people.
Sure.
But in terms of the way that things are kind of handled, I think this Luke's situation, the way when I was around him when he was at Ohio State, and then what I see from Coach Stefanski now is a very matter of fact. This is how things are done. I see a lot of parallels.
Right. I think it's pretty similar. I was just talking to my running back coach about that the other day. Like, they both just chill, down-to-earth people. You run into them in the hallway, like, what's up? Shoot you a text here and there. You just walk into the office, the door is open. So pretty much the same in Cincinnati.
Yeah, so Coach is doing something this year, Beau, that he has not done in the previous 2 years, and I think COVID was a big reason for it. And I just got a chance to see this for myself. Last night we did an event, and I did a chalk talk with Coach and AB and some folks. He's got an office now. His office, as you and I know, is up here in the back corner. He now has an office underneath, right outside the team meeting room, so that whenever the players are in the building, he's in that office, clear glass, so the door is always open, as Jerome said, so that he can be around the guys there and always be able to be reached easily, so that he can have that time and be able to talk to the guys like you said, which I think is a pretty cool thing. That's one of the things he said. Too many times last year, players would say, "I didn't even know where your office was." And he's like, well, then I guess you can't have an open door. People don't even know where the door is. And so he said he put himself right down there, right in the mix where all the players can see him and they can have those kind of discussions whenever. He literally open door, come on in, let's hang out, watch tape, talk about football, and get it going. So that's cool there. I wanted to ask you this because, you look at your journey, and Beau brought it up, started Alabama, go in the transfer portal, end up going to Cincinnati. But last year was the first year you really got a chance to be the guy probably since you were in high school.
Right.
And if you think about it, last year, 214 carries, 1,319 yards. You set the school record, 19 rushing touchdowns. But prior to that, you basically had 100 carries in your 3 years prior to that. So you don't have a lot of tread on your tires per se. You were not a guy that was overworked in college coming to here. Do you feel like you still have a lot of room to grow? Did you learn a lot in a season where you finally got to get the 200 carries?
Yes, sir, definitely. I feel like it's always room to grow. And with my first season, like you said, being a guy, I did learn a lot. As far as the game, like my coach, he would, hammer the details day in and day out. So, I just feel like with me not being a guy for, like more than that one season that I was, I got a lot more room to grow.
Yeah, I feel that way too, and I think that's what an incredible experience, what a great run you got to be a part of and playing big-time games, which I think probably prepares you very well for the National Football League.
I think so too. We're able to play against Georgia. I started in that game my first year at Cincinnati, and then the Notre Dame, Indiana, Alabama, Houston in the AAC championship. So yeah.
Good seeing Hudson.
Great seeing Hudson.
Yeah,
I bet so. Yeah.
Familiar faces it's been good for me.
That was one of those things when that game against Georgia, he goes down, and that's a big deal. With that injury with him, because one thing we found when unfortunately when a team like Cincinnati plays a team like that, it's not the frontline guys, it's the depth that gets hard to overcome. It's the twos, the threes that comes hard, and when a guy like Hudson goes down, it's tough to overcome.
It is, and I honestly think we did for the most part a great job of like handling it without Hudson being there. And I feel like if he was there, it would have been a big difference too. So
was he the nastiest offensive lineman you were around? Because I remember watching some of his tape when he came out. I mean, he would just like spear people, pancake people, crush them at the end of some of those run blocks.
Definitely one of the nastiest.
But he seems like a nice guy.
He is. He's real cool and chill and laid back until you get on the football field.
Yeah, no need to go against him. Absolutely.
For our fans who, for whatever reason, haven't seen you play a whole lot from your time at Cincinnati, how would you describe your game? And how do you think it translates to the league?
I think I'm a balanced back. I got speed, and I think this level, being able to break long runs and
that's right,
break a few tackles, I think that'll be good.
And you seem to have, and this is something Luke Fickell said about you, quote, he embodied the humble and hungry culture we have built here. That culture, when you go back to the similarities, that's basically what they want here with the Browns, right? Smart, tough, accountable, guys that are about the work, that are humble, that are hungry. Was that something that they talked to you about in this process, that not only are you a player fit for us, but you are a personality and a culture fit for us as well?
Yeah, pretty much throughout the whole process, like combine, that was one of the things they talked about, and like visits and that kind of stuff. They didn't only want to see your play, but they want to see how you fit as a person, how you handled yourself, how you talk, and how you talk to other people.
Did you have a feeling you were going to be staying in Ohio and coming to the Browns?
I did not. I didn't think I would go to the Browns. It was a surprise for me, honestly.
Okay. All right.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Glad you're here now.
Glad
yeah,
you're here,
absolutely.
man, and joining this room. You're a Florida guy, right?
Yes, sir. Tampa, Florida.
Tampa. What high school?
Armwood High School.
Oh, Armwood. Squad.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's squad program. I was down in Florida for a few years. the depth of talent in that state is a stunning thing. Saban comes into the state. How's he get you out?
He landed a helicopter on the 50-yard line at your high school.
Yeah,
That's what
I
he
love
did.
that. I love the story.
That's
So
what he
now,
did.
what
Were you
time-
like, what?
When did he do it? Like, is this at school or
It's,
the lead up to-
it's while school is going on.
while school is going on?
Yeah.
Do you know it's coming, or do you just know?
I know it's coming.
You know the chopper's coming. Were you
Well,
like,
I didn't. I don't think I knew the chopper was coming until like
you knew he was coming.
I knew he was coming though.
Did you? Was it like, yo, get as many of your dudes as you can? My guy's out here on a chopper. And that just happens to be the GOAT out there.
Nah, I was just like more like get all the students that were on the field off the field.
Give me room.
Make sure nobody's skipping so they don't get hit by a helicopter or something.
Yeah.
So they were running around trying to get that together, and then when he landed it, I was just sitting, just watching like, wow, all of this for me. So it was pretty nice.
Yeah,
That's
that's
such
a
a
great
cool
way
story, yeah.
That's a great way to lock it up there by Saban. He did that. But one of the things that was crazy, I was reading about your high school. You mentioned that it was a powerhouse. You played with a couple guys who were also heavily recruited, right? Aaron Collins, Brian Sneed.
Yes, sir.
And so you actually played slot receiver.
Right.
And then now you play. So you go from slot receiver your last year in high school. Then you finally get to be a lead back your last year in college. And now you're in the NFL as a running back. But I would imagine that slot receiver time gave you some good receiving skills. And when we talked to AB about you, we talked to Paul DePodesta and Kevin Stefanski, that's one of the things they noted, that you can be very effective in the pass game.
Right. Pretty much spent my entire senior year. I probably had less than 20 carries senior year at high school. So.
There's what's crazy. Dane Brugler knows exactly how many you had. You had 22 carries for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns, but you had 42 catches for 827 yards, averaging 19.7 a catch, not too shabby, and 8 touchdowns as you guys made it to the 2017 Class 6A state championship game.
Who beat you?
Miami Northwestern.
Northwestern.
Hold on.
Bulls, right?
Hold on a second.
Northwestern Bulls?
Yeah, they should have beat us.
All right, hold on a second. There's more. You also lined up on defense in the front 7, notched 7 tackles and a pair of sacks.
One of them was a strip sack.
This is unbelievable.
Should have been a 5-star DN.
5-5s. Yeah, you should have. I mean, listen, probably limited snaps. Your percentage of strip sacks is probably pretty high.
Oh, that's good, man.
Is that crazy to go do that, though, to think about in high school? You played running back, slot receiver, defensive end. You go and you go through your college, you get the chance to be that running back, and then now here you are in the NFL as a running back in a room with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson, your coach Stump Mitchell. Like, is that kind of crazy?
Yeah, it's definitely surreal. Something that you dream of, and you're like, man, I can't wait to get to the NFL, and now you're here, and you kind of starstruck seeing all those guys.
Is there when you think about your road and the path for it all, and I mean, look, if Nick Saban lands a chopper at your high school field, then you dream of the NFL.
Yeah.
You think that that's the roadmap, certainly. But certainly doubt or questioning it probably came into your mind throughout your journey of all of this. Now to be here, how do you appreciate the fact that this is something that probably started from year 5, right? This dream, like playing football. How long have you been playing? Your whole life, right?
Right.
And you've been pointing to this, and here you are in an NFL locker room. Jim Brown's picture's right down the hall. That's a lot going on, man.
It is. I took everything that I learned at Alabama. Even though it didn't work out for me, I took some of those things. So when I went to Cincinnati, I could use a lot of those things to help me get where I wanted to be and still like end up at my end goal.
Awesome.
And now you're in a division with Najee Harris, who you knew from your time down there at Alabama, so you'll get to see him twice a year. When you talk about, you said you have the speed, and I think that's one of the things that everybody's talked about has kind of jumped out when they put you on. What do you love about kind of this system, and how familiar are you with it, kind of that one cut, the zone scheme? And I know we do a lot of pulling, and we do a lot of power and pin pull. We do a lot of different things. It's not just a zone scheme, but how familiar are you with that? I think James said you guys did quite a bit of that.
We did counters and power plays in Cincinnati. We mostly ran inside zone. My first year we did a little bit of outside zone, but I think it's fun to learn like new way to run, new concepts, ways to run the ball. I think I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Yeah. So have you gotten a chance to talk with Nick and Kareem yet? And if so, have they given you anything yet?
They haven't been here, so I haven't really been able to talk to them yet. But when they get here, I'm probably gonna
Next
ask a
week.
lot of questions.
Next week they're gonna come back from the Bahamas. Sad,
Yeah, that's right.
No rookies. No rookies in the Bahamas. Sad.
What
Maybe
about
next year.
Next year.
I hope so.
Jerome, welcome to the Browns, man. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Cleveland. Welcome to the Browns. Thanks for joining us here on the program. Very good stuff and continued success. Going to
Yes,
be fun
indeed.
seeing your career grow here. Lots to get to on the program today. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk Announce, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. How you doing, buddy, on a first Friday?
Good. It's always nice to kick things off right away with a player, you know, like kind of get that in the mix and meet these guys. And he was the last one I think that I haven't talked to. And Michael Woods, the receiver out of Oklahoma. I've not gotten a chance to talk to him, but I've talked to everybody else.
I thought you were meeting the rookies tonight.
We are, but we're only meeting a handful of the rookies.
Okay. Meaning, so a little disingenuous with the advertising.
That's hurtful. You're going to get
Connor with a K?
Don't get the MTIT in trouble over there. No, we're going to meet tonight.
Feels like you should say meeting some of the rookies.
Yeah.
Because it makes it feel like, to me, like we're going to meet them all.
I think if we were all into specificity, we would say we were meeting 55.555555555555555 on and on and on percent of the rookies. 5 out of 9. But you will be meeting MJ Emerson. You will be meeting Alex Wright. You will be meeting David Bell. You will be meeting
Perry and Winfrey's in there.
Perry and Winfrey.
Yeah.
And Cade York. So the
What
thirds
if I
and the
would have
fourths.
said Perry and Winfrey, knowing that he's the one that most people have been talking about, and then you're like, didn't get him?
Couldn't book him. But
Couldn't book him. Couldn't get him locked in.
Not only are you going to get to meet him on Meet the Rookies tonight, so you'll get to watch that, but then I'm told, according to Gibbe's fancy whiteboard up there, I'm told Perrion Winfrey in studio.
Here?
Mañana.
On this show?
On this program.
Tomorrow. That's happening.
That's right.
Perry and Winfrey in here.
100% concentrate.
Tomorrow.
No pulp. All gas, no break.
Do you think we go curveball and go like really subtle with him?
Well, my plan in Meet the Rookies, just so in the interest of full disclosure, since we are amigos, my plan in that is to go straight, to do a straight interview, no energy, just dive deep, and that's my plan. It's worked so well when people have taken very energetic, charismatic, like a PFT, for example, and then just gone straight. It's had great success. So that's what I'm going to do.
Just turn down the charisma.
Well, if we're being honest about it, it'd almost be like a charisma bomb. If we both turned it up, it would just be like, who knows? Might blow out the cameras. And I know that we've invested in some very nice cameras, so we won't want to blow those out.
Yeah, we have. So we're told.
So I'm told.
We are told.
I'm told. Quite nice. The cameras.
So
buy a house.
My uncle and dad drove back to Montana this morning.
Sad. I'm very sad.
They didn't want it. There's no way I could have convinced him to come in here. There's no way.
Like everybody wants to meet you. You're like us. You're a local celebrity.
Nah, I just don't know that that's.
Be like not Pedro. Pedro's been on the show multiple times. We want you on the show.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of similarities, except for perhaps their chase of fame. I think Pedro loves the fame.
Well,
like when
performative.
He's performative. Yeah, performance art. You had mentioned how, like, if we wanted to have, like, what did we do just last week? Like, would he come on once a week and do like, something? Yeah,
he would do it.
Sold
for sure.
Sold
in a second.
Yeah, no, not so much, on that front.
But that's why he needs. That's why we need it, because it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to get some insight into a man that most of us are unfamiliar with.
An enigma wrapped in a mystery.
That's right.
He anyway, so yesterday they go down to the Rock Hall. Okay. And I won't
your
tell
uncle
that.
Loved it.
He loved it. I'm not going to tell that story. I told that story only to you, but I'll tell you this story.
Sorry, everybody.
So on their way out, they stayed in South Bend the last night before driving in. And they were complaining about how when they were checking out the stadium a little bit in the morning, and then they, for some reason, didn't get right back on the turnpike, and their GPS, their nav, sent them on some trail, right? Or whatever. So yesterday they go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I get home from doing the show, and I said, well, how'd it go? It was great. But they said it took us a long time to get home. And I said, interesting. I said, well, what way did you go? And they said they went by a canal. And I said, you went by a canal? And then they drove up like the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And I said,
why?
I said, well, he said, well, that's where the GPS took us. I said, wait a second. Your GPS took you from the Rock Hall, not 90 to 77 to
literally
Turnpike.
On the freeway.
It's literally on the freeway.
On the freeway.
90, 77, 80, my house. That's it. That's how you go.
That's it.
So it clicks. State school, but still some wit about me.
They've intentionally avoided
It's
freeways.
possible. I said, let me see your phone. What are you doing? So I pull up the phone. I said, have you checked this? Do you have the avoid freeways? They both look at me as if I have just now started speaking Greek, unaware of any sort of ability to avoid certain things. I said, Unc, where are your? He goes, well, I don't even. What do you mean? Because now they're trying to. What happened? We don't know. I don't understand. So I click on the thing, where the icon that looks like a settings. Click on it. Sure enough, avoid freeways.
So I have a buddy whose wife will not drive.
Think
on the
if
freeway.
I wouldn't have stopped them.
But how did they
and
even
that would
get
have
out
sent
here?
them. Well, the good part is most of the West they didn't need it for. It wasn't really until they needed it in South Bend that they started using it. They didn't need it. They know the route.
They know the way.
There's one way. So they knew
This
that.
is the way.
So they started using it in South Bend. But my God, can you imagine if I sent them on their way this morning with an avoid highways, driving 2,300 miles back to Montana? They would have showed up next Tuesday.
But they had to have put that on. That is not the
Somebody
default
did.
setting.
No, somebody did. Whether my uncle did or they did,
Somebody put it on
My
and
uncle
said-
had no idea where the settings was. My dad clearly didn't either. My dad did not even have it activated on his maps. Also did not have. Now, all that being said, they were able, between the two of them, to fell a tree yesterday, a rather large tree that I needed to cut down, and I couldn't do
Just
that.
like me and my father-in-law.
Right. But
Well,
they were able to
mostly
do
him.
that. Mostly him. They were able to do that. But so I think they probably are winning. That feels like a more important skill.
No, it doesn't.
I guess maybe not in these
No,
day
it
and
doesn't.
age.
So you say to me, all right, you're both.
But I don't need
What's
Nav.
more important? You're here and you have to get to Los Angeles, okay? You're able to do it easily, or that they can stand in a forest and chop down a tree. Like,
I got a lot of trees.
I think you're winning by actually being
Probably
able
winning.
to navigate somewhere
probably winning.
effectively.
Yeah.
So I can't even fathom how they went.
I don't either. He said that they went like through downtown. They made a left on like Broadway. Is there a Broadway downtown? I have no idea. I don't go down there that
Okay.
often. And then somehow they ended up like by a canal.
Yeah, but that canal would be like under the 480 bridge, right?
Yeah,
so they
I
made
think
it
that's
out
what
into
they went.
Independence.
Yeah, and then they went along the river
Yeah.
south.
Well, I should have stopped at the movie theater, taken in Doctor Strange.
I'm right up at my place.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was thinking to myself, like, all right, like the Rock Hall is right off the freeway. Why don't you just get right back on the freeway?
It's an effort to not end up on a
Agreed.
freeway.
Yes, you'd have to try not to.
Yes.
You'd have to try not to.
Right.
Or have a
Or-
Google Maps that drives you around it all.
I really think that a huge miss was you should have had them take Bootsy everywhere and a camera.
Oh.
Those two, Bootsy unleashed in Cleveland.
Well, the one
and a camera.
what
crew
also
following.
you would need one more component, and I'm only leaving Kingsley out just because he would not have a whole lot to say in this situation. The other component would be Black Cobra, who knows how to get to a lot of these places,
Sure.
yelling at them for not going the right way,
Yes.
and them defending it by looking at their technology, which is not right, incomplete technology.
Yes.
That plus Bootsy in the back, sold. You're on.
Let's do it. I mean, I feel like that should be greenlit immediately.
I agree. It's really great. It's
So
really
how
great.
was the stay overall?
It's great. It was great. It was awesome having them. It was fantastic. It meant a lot to Kingsley that they were here, and it was great. It was my uncle Soffin's dad.
Uh-huh. So he's
You know,
like
that
a
helps.
great running buddy.
He's a great running buddy. Brings it down a notch.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
really brings it down a notch.
Mellows it out.
Mellows, a very
as it
mellowing
were.
effect, a relaxing, mellowing,
Yes.
happy glazed effect,
Yes.
if you will, at times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say was the biggest help. But it was great. It was great seeing them. They drove a long way for 5 days, but it was good seeing them. It was great. And so they're headed back. They're trying to get to Ames, Iowa today. So that's where they're at on that front. Did you have a nice night? Did you do anything cool?
Yeah, Miss K's pops out of town, so we took a Jack A and out to Pony Boys, which is a new place in Chagrin Falls. Quite good. Mexican tacos. So a little Taco Tuesday at Pony Boys is great. They have they had a duck confit tamale. Oh, baby.
What a bold choice that is.
Oh, so good.
A duck confit tamale?
It was great. Little ancho chili sauce. It was great. They had an octopus and chorizo appetizer that was to die for. A little honey habanero margarita, no big deal.
Oh my God, they've got a great jackalope as the
right.
the mascot.
The jackalope featured prominently throughout the restaurant.
I mean, you have to be able to buy a hat with that jackalope on it, don't
I'd
you?
like to. I'd like a quarter zip with it on it. They also have a T-shirt that I'm going to have to come home with next time that says Tacosaurus on it because I'm a Tacosaurus.
Yeah, I like the idea of this jackalope on a hat
Yeah. What about on a quarter zip?
or a quarter zip. Fine.
Maybe that'll be the jackalope will fit.
Jackalope. Here's what you do. Black hoodie,
Yep.
jackalope,
Yep.
Cleveland Browns Daily staff.
I like that. I like that.
That's the show.
That's the show.
And then we
There
do
it is.
this.
All day.
All
No,
day.
you can't have one.
Mm-mm. Sorry, can't. Wish I could
So,
help
by
ya.
the way, update. Last night, before I'm getting ready to do this event with with Coach and AB. I go down and
Is this a Zoom event or in person?
No, in person.
We're back in person on the event.
Yeah, it was great.
Great, that's great.
I went down and checked in on our good friend Mr. Melland.
Yeah.
And he said that many people had told him of what had happened on Brown Stadium, but Brad is a guy you got to help him with the technology. He can,
a lot like my dad.
So he's like, how do I watch? I want to see this. So I pull up Browns Daily. I get to, I think it's the 16-minute mark. It starts on Monday's show. And it's about 10 minutes, our discussion of it. He was loving it. He was in that. He goes, how do I clip this? How I need to send this to everybody? Like, he was so excited.
Are you telling me that we spent the better part of 7 months wooing him with the Brand Mellon Pursuit of Excellence Award?
Yeah.
Wooing him and talking of his greatness, and he heard none of it?
No, he heard of it.
But he himself did not hear the
That's
greatness
That's
with which we speak of his voice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. The guy's an absolute legend. So we watched it in his office. He's keeping the window open and keeping it queued up because he really wants to show Coach when the next time he comes in there. So when I saw Coach, I said, listen, Mellon's you got to watch the video we talked about Mellon's prank. He goes, oh, I heard about it. I'm like, oh, you did? And he goes, yeah, it was a good one, huh? And I said, well, it was a good one. But I don't know if he was waiting for me to be like, well, now can we?
Now would be a wonderful time for me to actually get what is deserved.
Get the hoodie. But I think there was like a tension in the air where it was like he knew that I wanted to be like, well, but he was like, don't you dare ask for it because then you can't have it. So I just stayed silent.
The games he's playing with that hoodie
just
are diabolical.
It is. Listen.
There's a lot going on.
It's a sphere of influence. It's, he's got the power. When you have, listen, it's about supply and demand. Demand through the roof. Supply controlled by one person.
Let me ask you this.
It's a monopoly.
Let me ask you this.
He's got all the power.
He does it. He controls all of it. Let me ask you this. Who do you think he came up with the hoodie, or how did the hoodie come to be?
That's a great question. I'm going to text Brad. See if we can get him in here.
Yeah. See if we can get Brad in here. I'd be very curious to know how the genesis of the hoodie, how it came to life. Was this a KS ask, or was it something? Because I'd never seen it until Stefanski was hearing it.
Well, I know the equipment staff had them, but I don't know.
We never saw them in them. Like, if I would have saw Mellon walking around in that in here, I would have said, wow, what are we got
did
going on there?
KS craft it for them to thank them? This is a great question, and one that I hope will get answered.
This is why I'm here.
Anybody who talks to Brad, the people who listen to the show then tell Brad what we say on it, I've texted him, but it needs to be a barrage. You need to text him too. We need him in studio. Practice is over as far as I understand. Is that right?
Connor with the K.
Connor
Is practice
yes.
over?
Connor
yes.
knows.
Done? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Fantastic. Look at that.
Was
yeah.
that Connor with the
Man,
K's first
sultry.
voice?
Sultry.
Sorry. What's going on, guys? I'm sorry. What was
Don't be timid back
Don't worry.
there.
It's just as clunky. It's just as
it's
clunky
horrible.
when Gibbs does
Don't
it.
you think there should be just like a light, the button that you soft push that says on, off, cough?
Of
This is
course,
a race.
I agree.
We got our guy following us around, our shadow here. He knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
See? He can hear
I
that.
can hear that.
I
No,
mean,
it's supposed to be silent. It's not supposed to be obvious.
Nathan, I have to cough.
And then I'm going to go like this. Yeah. No.
That's not how it works.
That's
not what you want.
But
That's
Gibbe
not what you
designed it, and he loves it.
What's he doing
loves
today?
it.
What's he doing today on a day like today? A little chilly.
Hopefully, he got to
No
golf
sun.
in the morning.
He was hoping to golf in the morning.
He's
day
moving
after his
in for
birthday.
he's moving in for the art show. By the way, I'm told that they're actually, and I'm not kidding right now when I say this, that
Can you answer me a
there
question?
may be consequences for his actions yesterday.
What part? Oh, for the food?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Really?
I think so.
Oh, man. Really?
I think so.
There should be consequences for him printing everything in landscape.
I don't know why he believes
Why
that
is he
that's-
doing it?
I don't know what.
Do you know how hard this is to navigate?
It's impossible. It's impossible to navigate.
So he gives us, folks, this printout. We have Seth Walder coming up later. He gives us a printout in landscape print.
Nobody uses landscape.
Nobody. Do you know
Nobody.
how hard this is to get through?
No, they don't even like landscape for photos anymore. You try to take a picture of your lady friend for the gram. You know what she's gonna say? Get it up and down. No, no
said
landscape.
You said it.
That's right. I did.
I don't even know what to make of this. I can't even comprehend.
Connor, no, it's true. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
Not
Why
wrong.
do they want it up and down? Forever they wanted it horizontal.
It fits the frame of Instagram better. Like you can't. It's a hard
All
move
because
from
of social media.
social media.
Yeah, that's
God,
right.
it's the end of the world, man.
Think about that. Social media is telling human beings how to take photos.
They don't want vertical video though, right? They still want horizontal video, or do they want vertical video? Connor with a K.
It depends on the situation. For Instagram stories, for Snapchat stories, or any Snapchat, all vertical. For
All
What?
vertical, dude. I'm telling
for,
you.
like your viewing pleasure.
We are
of, a Twitter
living
video,
in a vertical world.
It's all horizontal.
Anytime my wife does
For
anything
your
with the
viewing
kids,
pleasure. For yourself.
yeah,
Oh,
you want it
yeah.
horizontal. It's
Of course.
better.
Yeah,
Of
you
course,
can
it's better.
see
So
more
wha-
of the picture.
Yeah.
Of course,
video
this isn't
themselves.
hard.
Yeah. It's the world, man.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I suppose we'll talk about some football coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Friends, the Bath Authority can give you that bathroom of your dreams. They can do it for you in about a day. You can transform your current bathroom into a custom bath that'll feel like a spa. Let the Bath Authority make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. They have the largest selection of bath projects. They're all made in America. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding, again, in about a day. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in. If you need a tub-to-shower conversion, they are on it. Superior products with expert installers. It is thebathauthority.com. Give them a call right now for $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. The number is 216-220-8399 or go to thebathauthority.com. Again, $500, 216-220-8399. They will take care of you. Tell them that Beau sent you on that one, my friend. I just saw this from Awful Announcing. Dan Orlovsky sticking with ESPN despite Fox's pursuit. He will replace Brian Greasy in the number 2 NFL booth with Steve Levy and Louis Riddick, which is a limited booth.
Very limited schedule, right? Just a couple
Two games probably?
Yeah. And then, well, in the future, they've announced now that there will be multiple Monday Night Football games, like a handful of times going forward. So maybe that will help him there. I love Dan. I think he's great. I remember having him back on the show before he had even started to do much, when he was really just doing his YouTube videos, and he's parlayed that into a very good career for himself, and he earned it. He deserves it, and he's great.
I had played with two guys who knew, or I'd done radio with two guys who knew him in Bobby Carpenter and then James. They both knew him from his time in the pros, and so I remember just watching his YouTube stuff and going, "He's killing this."
Yeah, he's great.
He just had a presence to him that has been obvious ever since.
And he was able to explain the game in a way that's easily digestible, and you're getting great information from him when he does it. So, yeah, very happy for him. I'm curious, though, like, where do you go there, right? If you're Dan Orlovsky, and I believe what I'm about to say is true.
You want upward mobility.
Right. And now you could say, well, Troy Aikman's at ESPN, so does he have any upward mobility there? Maybe not. But I'm guessing ESPN, because of the variety of programs that he would be able to participate in, is probably able to compensate him better, and he's going to be able to do more. Like, if he goes to Fox and he's just the number 2, right, which is probably best case scenario, but eventually your best case scenario is number 3, because Brady's going to be 1, Greg Olsen, it feels like, is going to be 2. What else is he doing for Fox?
Here's what he had. This is the tricky thing, and I've seen a lot of guys try to navigate this. You're discovered by ESPN, and then everybody wants you, right? I mean, this happens across the board. And usually the networks that want you are going to compensate you more richly than ESPN is going to compensate you. That's the general rule of thumb in the biz. And they're going to have you're going to work less and make more. That's the way that it works. When you usually, if you have a star, and at the right time you jump off of ESPN and go to one of the networks,
yep,
you will make more and work less.
Yes.
The tricky thing is you have to make damn sure you land the plane.
Yep.
At the new place. And you have to make sure that they've got your back and your development, because otherwise you can be evaporated in a blink.
Just completely disappear.
Gone. So
yeah.
That's the thing that's really tricky. So my guess is what Dan Wade at this point in his career is, it's probably better for me now to be on ESPN, to be on NFL Live, to hop on with Greeny in the morning and have some fun there, and still do some NFL and maybe make less, work more.
Yep.
He's from Connecticut, so that a lot of people that bothers, having to live in Connecticut bothers
Not him.
Not bothering him. Versus going to, as you just put it, you go to Fox, you do NFL, maybe you do a little college too, but you end up down on a pecking order, and the reality is that he's probably never going to be on a number 1 team, no matter how good he is. I don't think that's in the cards probably, considering who's getting 1 gigs now and the amount of money that those people get. You have to have the playing resume, it feels like, to be able to get one of those jobs. So I think he made a pretty smart decision.
So, yes, I do think that he made a pretty smart decision, and I think the opportunity, maybe if ESPN gets 2 playoff games on a wild card weekend or something, he gets an opportunity to do one of them. So I think your talent can overcome, right? But there probably, to your point, there is some level of a ceiling. For example, Charles Davis doesn't necessarily have the playing resume, but he is just great, and he and Ian Eagle have moved their way up, and he's now, number 2 at CBS behind Nance and Romo. Would that team ever be number 1?
No.
But I mean, Nance can't do it forever, although he will, because he's great. But I mean, at some point, there will need to be
They'll have to
eventually.
find the next guy
Right.
at some point. Yeah, but not anytime soon. And I do think one thing with Charles is it's probably the perfect storm in that not only is he really good, but he also got paired with another guy who's excellent in Ian Eagle. And so the two of them, but yeah, they're at their ceiling, which is a great ceiling.
And he's the nicest dude.
The nicest guy ever.
He
and always has been.
Out of nowhere, sent me the nicest text to congratulate me.
I am not at all surprised. Like that
out of
reputation is 20 years old. He's been that good of a dude for 20 years.
Yeah,
So that's
incredible.
Not surprising in any way. But yeah, like they're at their ceiling. Like Charles is never going to ascend to the number one chair, I don't think, at CBS because of how that job has changed.
Sure.
In a way, Collinsworth's lucky he got in when he did because he was a good NFL player, but he wasn't a great NFL player. But he's really good at it.
Yeah.
And so his timing was good.
I mean, he was pretty darn good.
He's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think when you think of the 80s Bengals, I don't know that he's the first guy that comes to mind. You think of Munoz, you think of Boomer.
Sure.
You think of Ickey Woods, Tim Crumry. You think of those guys. I don't know how far do you go down before you think of Chris Collinsworth. Kenny Anderson.
Here, let's look him up. Shorter career than I would have thought. Played from 81 to 88. 3-time Pro Bowler.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
He had 4,000-yard seasons. He had another season with 989 yards.
So was he on either of the Super Bowl playing teams? The first one?
Oh, yeah. Both.
Well, 89 was the last one, right? When
Would
you
that
guys
have
beat
been,
him?
Would that have been, hold on, let me look.
That's John Taylor. Or no, that's the beatdown.
It's in 88, though, right? It wasn't the 88 season.
88 season.
Yeah.
So that would have been his last
season.
year. Okay.
Yeah, so his first year and
so
his
both
last.
of his first and last year he played in two. Yeah.
In the 90s.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. But I think now what that job is you are kissing baby, shaking hands. You're the face of network. So you need to be a Romo. Look at him. Romo, Manning has been coveted forever. Brady. Like, you need to have that.
I wonder what Brady's going to be like. You're totally right. But what's interesting to me about it is, let's take a guy like our guy, the Hoff, for example, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, is as good at his position. He's phenomenal on TV. He was hilarious last night when he was redecorating there in his room. He's phenomenal on TV.
Yep.
He feels like he's somebody, he has the playing cachet, right? He's got the personality, the presence, all of it, that he could be a number one guy someday.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But he also did the studio stuff, and sometimes you get pigeonholed. It's like, well, he's a studio guy.
Sure.
And I don't know what's the better gig. Would you rather be Strahan or Howie Long, or would you rather be Phil Simms and Romo all these years? Just recently, the game crew money got bigger.
Sure.
To the point where it's out really, really big. But for the longest point, it was probably negligible. The difference between what Bradshaw made and what Aikman made. It's probably similar.
And it was probably a better gig to be the studio guy. Didn't have to travel.
I would think.
Yeah, for sure. It's an
I think
hour-long show. Look at him. Hour-long show that is completely researched for you, scripted out for you,
There's
laid
7
out for
people.
you.
How much speaking time do you have?
I was saying your requirements are very little. You will get to make very well, thoroughly researched points that are provided to you.
Correct.
And you have your own knowledge of the game. But I mean, that is a very easy gig for them.
That's probably, now you need to have the natural charisma and all that, but it's probably as much of a mail-it-in job as there is, if you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
If you had the natural talent. But in terms of, you're not having to do a whole lot of homework on that. Watch the
That's
league.
what I'm saying.
The nuance will be provided.
Well, because they're not even getting into the details, right? I mean, you're going through the whole slate of games on I'm talking about like CBS. That's an hour-long show.
Correct.
1 hour. The Fox
1 hour.
1 hour.
They have hits, remote hits for all of their games.
Yep.
So that takes up
commercials.
If you're doing 4 or 5 segments, one segment at least is all just hits. Men of Fear, James Brown throwing to people. You have commercials probably take up. My guess is they do 41 of the 60 minutes, so they do 41 minutes of content.
Sure.
Probably 8 of it is live hits at the venue. So now you're talking about 30, half hour of content.
And then they do the half times.
Right, and split amongst 7 guys.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's a good gig.
4 minutes and 30 seconds a guy.
Yeah, that's a very, very good gig. But I'm happy. I'm happy for Dan that he's sticking. I think it's a good fit. I think probably the best fit is for him to stay right where he is at ESPN. I think that's the best use of his talents.
Absolutely.
What do you make of what Good Morning Football is going to do here?
Tell me.
Kay is out.
I knew that. Yep.
No replacement. Still no replacement for Nate. Permanent.
Okay.
Half of that staff needs to be replaced. Schrager's information guy. Kyle is the engine that's there. But they got two big-time hires that need to be made before next season. And that is a show that I think is significantly a bigger deal in the NFL than it is outside of it. Clearly.
Yes.
In terms of in the buildings.
So who do you think they have? Jane Slater, I saw, has done a show. Has Colleen Wolfe done any yet?
I haven't seen.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, and has Kay announced what she's doing yet?
She is not.
She's not.
There was a lot of rumors
Amazon.
about Thursday Night Football
Yep.
with Amazon, but I have not seen. I imagine that would be one hell of a gig.
Oh, yeah. I would think so.
One day a week.
Yeah. And
Herbie did quite well with
Marshawn
that.
Lynch is on that.
Yeah. This just happened in the last 10 seconds. Yellowstone Season 5 premiering November 13th on the Paramount Network. November 13th.
Somebody tell Drew. He's going to be very excited.
He's going to be very excited. We play the Dolphins that day.
Can I that weekend.
Nightmare.
Just okay. Can I say something right now?
Yeah, please.
We don't need that then.
No.
Save it for. Give me like February debut.
No.
Middle
It's very
of February.
difficult. Yeah. February 12th.
Perfect.
Sold. Yep. We don't need it then.
And on a Sunday, are they going to go one a week?
Yeah, they go weekly. So it'll drop Sunday at 9.
Give me one a week starting the Sunday after the Super Bowl. Super Bowl ends. Guess what? Here's Yellowstone.
Here's
next
Yellowstone.
Sunday.
Drop
Sundays
it.
aren't dead.
Yeah, I don't mind you. You know what that man right there did for me?
Jay. Yeah, he got your face.
He got
Look
my
at him.
face.
Look at him.
Yesterday,
Look
that
at
guy did. Did
How
it for
great
me.
is it? Let me
So
ask
great.
you, do you feel compelled? So we have here, and it's also at the games, and everybody who has tickets should sign up for it, facial recognition software that allows you to access, in this case, our building with your face, or in the case of First Energy Stadium with your face. You can get right through the lines. Think about how fast it is. You look at it, it's like, yeah, it's you. Here's your tickets. Boom. Goodbye. I feel, and I don't know if you do, but I feel compelled when I go to that facial recognition thing to give it like a little blue steel. I have to give it, or a Magnum. I can't just, I
Today
don't
was
just
my
look
first
at
day.
it. I kind of give it like a,
Yeah.
No,
I think you want to leave an impression.
right.
It wasn't like
No,
it was a gaze, a loving gaze.
Do you give it anything, Connor, or do you just go in there normal? Like I'm being serious. Like I have to go and I go like, I give it a little look.
No, I just make eye contact with the camera. You know, that intimate moment between you and the technology.
Yeah,
That's all I do, man.
and that's it.
The blue steel though, that's definitely a Zegura move.
Oh, I got to. I mean, I've got to
It's
give them the blue
definitely.
steel. Well, you just want it to like, heaven forbid you give it like a normal face and it's just like I don't even recognize you. Like that, how hurtful would that be?
That's
so I
true.
got to give it like a
Do
blue
you
steel.
smile though? Is it only the blue steel, or do you one?
No, I never
one day when
smile.
you're-
It's more
okay.
like I try to give it like
You
a
know,
little
a
smolder.
real
Like a
smolder,
little,
huh?
Yeah, a little smolder.
If I'm feeling good, I'll give it a little smile. Wake up in the morning, I'm feeling good, feeling energized. Just.
Are
give
you
it a
doing the
nice-
cold shower, Chase Winovich? Is that
There
why
you
you're so
go, yeah.
energized?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing
Are
the
you
Chase
doing that
Winovich
too now?
cold shower? Is that why you're so energized?
No, I should try it, but I mean.
So you go warm shower, then the last minute you go cold.
Just cold. It doesn't have to be freezing. Just cold
Okay.
until the voices in your head start talking to you, and then you leave and you feel energized.
You know
Listen
what?
to them,
I'll try
though.
it tomorrow morning. I'll let you know.
I said I was going to, but I keep forgetting.
Really?
That's fair.
I
I
keep
can't-
forgetting.
you're-
I
it's
have
the
to do it
morning.
now. Every shower. I have to. I love it. I'm not even kidding. I love it. And apparently,
It shocks the
You're
system.
selling it to me.
my buddy Beatbox, a.k.a. Haterbox, has told me there's actual science that supports that it's good for your body.
Well, science. Is the kid doing it?
I don't know if the kid's doing it.
That's what I want to know. I feel like he
I
wins
don't
at
do
everything.
cold showers.
See, he wins at everything. I think he'd win at
I'm
showers
gonna ask
too.
him. We'll ask the kid what he thinks about
Get some
this.
verification on
He
that.
might like it because the idea is
a Michigan
is
man.
from a Michigan man, right? And
Yeah,
he
he
is
might like
he
that,
himself
okay.
is a Michigan man.
He is, in fact.
Yeah.
All right, Seth Walder coming up next, ESPN. He did NFL season projections, win-loss records, playoff Super Bowl chances from the Football Power Index. He joins us coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. lot of bad advice out there about gambling, from secret methods to picking lottery numbers to betting big when you're on a roll. The myths can lose you money and get you in a lot of trouble. So before you wager, find out what's real and what isn't at KeepItFunOhio.com. And now heading out on the hotline for visit with our good buddy Seth Walder, ESPN sports analytics expert. His ESPN Football Power Index out now at ESPN.com. That doesn't sound. I feel like we're getting an echo. We good? Seth, you there?
I'm here.
Okay,
here.
we have
How are
Seth.
you?
Okay, very good. Do we have? Are you hearing this, Z?
Yes. Yes.
You're hearing us too? Okay. All right. Well, we'll sort those things out.
We're big bees. We're going to battle through it.
Seth, let's go through this. Let's start here before we get into where we are in all of it. Give the folks out there how you come up with it, what goes into it, the process behind it.
Yeah, sure. And this has changed. We have a new process this year, so happy to talk about that. The Football Power Index, the idea is to predictively rank team strength for all 32 teams in the NFL, and then use that to form the basis of projections where we simulate out the season, 10,000 times, and determine the probabilities of each team, winning their division, winning the Super Bowl, average number of wins. In the preseason, the way this works is we use a variety of factors to determine how good each team is. So we look at past performance by that team. We look at the individual players that are on that team. We use several different rating systems there to assess the quality of their non-quarterbacks. We have a specific quarterback predictive model. So we're looking at their past expected points added per play, and we're using that to determine how good we think that they are altogether. And then there's a little bit of a coach factor if you're maintaining your coach or going through a coaching change, that can affect things too. So put that all together, and that is what gives us these strength ratings. And then as we go through the season, it updates. Every week is new piece of information. How did you play? Did you beat expectations? Who did you play against? And how efficient were you? And that's how the ratings and projections move throughout the year.
All right, Seth, let's start with the Browns. What do you see for the Browns here in 2022?
So we have the Browns as the 10th best team, and I want to talk about their rating because it's obviously a unique situation. I think we have no one knows exactly what we're talking about a quarterback, and that drives so much of how good we think a team is. So
of course.
Let me tell you how the model sees it, and then we can adjust how we think. It gives the Browns a full season of Deshaun Watson, and it puts them at 10th in doing so. However, I will say this. One of the things that goes into our predictive quarterback model, it looks at if you didn't play last season, it assumes that something has gone very poorly for you. Either you have been hurt all year or you were not good enough to get on the field. Now, Deshaun Watson's is in a kind of different category, right?
Sure.
And he still has 22 civil lawsuits, of women accusing him of inappropriate sexual conduct during massages. That might affect his suspension. And so we're assuming a sort of like depressed level of Deshaun Watson's skill, but for a full season. I'm not going to say 17 games because anyone can get hurt. So what's the truth? It's hard to know. Maybe a better Watson but fewer games played might get you to roughly the same conclusion. But that is how we come to that number. That's sort of the way the model is handling that situation.
And we have the other thing that we're dealing with here, and I'm curious how you guys dealt with it. My guess is you leave them off, but it feels like Jadeveon Clowney will be back here at some point. There's been a lot of whispers of Ndamukong Suh. And to that end, there's still a lot of pretty big-name free agents that are out there. How do you deal with that? Do you just look at it as this is the roster as the one it stands right now for the Browns?
Yeah, this is the roster, and I'll say that even extends to one where I think pretty clearly someone that won't be on the team. I mean, Baker Mayfield is right now the second-best quarterback on Cleveland, and so it sees Baker Mayfield as the backup quarterback. And as you progress through the season, the likelihood of injury increases, and so you have weight is given to that backup quarterback. So that is one area where probably it's a small factor, maybe slightly overweighting Cleveland because of that. But to your question, no, anyone not on the roster is not going to be considered, even if it's like, oh, they're likely coming back, or like a Clowney, which would help. That we don't assume that anyone will be there.
When you you have the Browns as the 10th best team. When you go and look at now the model, you play it out, where do the Browns finish in terms of record, and how does that rank amongst the league?
So they're obviously in a very competitive division. We put them at 9.6 wins on average, a sort of mean outcome, and we give them the best chance to win the division, 35%. So they're a very narrow favorite. It makes sense. I mean, look, I think Cleveland. You look at the rest of the roster, and there's obviously a lot of pieces to like. I mean, I think that offensive line will support who's ever is that quarterback. You have some stars on defense, so it's easy to see, I think, why Cleveland's got strength. It's just so much depends on the quarterback. But yes, 35% chance to win the division, a very narrow favorite over Baltimore and Cincinnati, with Pittsburgh way back there. And then we're looking at a 57% chance to make the playoffs overall.
As I'm going through this, so do I. A lot of fascinating stuff here, Seth. One of the things that's jumping out to me is when you do the projected wins, and one of the things we've talked about is it feels like, for Nathan and I's perspective, we cannot recall a time where the conferences were so disproportionately slanted in one direction. The AFC seemingly so much stronger and deeper than the NFC. And that is reflected in a lot of these rankings in terms of the NFC teams with win totals and that. The bottom of the NFC is a lot bigger than the bottom of the AFC. Did that play out the way that we kind of think it would in your index?
So I share that perspective with you guys, but I feel like it came out to be less of a disparity than I thought it would. Like, we have, if you think, like, our top 5 teams are Buffalo, Green Bay, the Rams, Chiefs, Bucks. I mean, that's 3 NFC teams, and we have Dallas at 6, so that's 4 of the top 6 are in the NFC, which kind of shocked me. Now, I think there's a lot of teams that you can make cases for that could really jump up. The Chargers, the Colts, the Browns, the Broncos, the Ravens, like all those teams. It's not that the Bengals, they were in the Super Bowl last year. I didn't even mention them. It's not that hard for them to imagine those teams jumping up into an elite sphere. But I think it's actually a little more, especially with Brady coming back. I think that did shift things a bit. I think it's a little more balanced than I originally anticipated it would be.
That's interesting, because you feel like the number of legitimate Super Bowl contenders in the AFC, as we've talked about, are higher. And we've gone through so many power rankings, Beau, we've seen much more of a bunching than we thought we would, where we feel like the AFC is the stronger conference. That being said, who is somebody that you think in your model right now, maybe in the NFC or in the AFC, that you like a lot better than the perception, and conversely, a team that you think is much worse than the perception seems to be right now?
Okay, let me start with the second part.
Okay.
San Francisco in the NFC as being a team that we think is much worse than the perception. Now, I'm going to give a caveat here. We're working under an assumption that Trey Lance is the starter. And I don't think that's like a terrible assumption because of everything that San Francisco did to acquire him. So I understand it's not set in stone. Let's just hold that for a second, though. From the model's perspective, and I think this is backed up, I just talked about what it means when you don't play and how the model anticipates that. So you think about someone like Trey Lance. He comes in as a rookie. Most rookies do, even in the first round, most rookie quarterbacks do not pan out to be good players. The majority just don't. And so it knows that overall. So it's going to assume, on average, rookie quarterback is not going to work out. There's upside there, and we do increase the variance. It means there's higher upside. But on average, it's probably not a good player. Then that player does not see the field for most of last season. And so it's only going to nudge Trey Lance down farther. And so it looks at that and it says, well, better. Like, offer Trey Lance. Like, Lance has a higher ceiling, but on average, guessing, if I had to guess which player will be better next year, it would say, I think Jared Goff. If I had to guess which player will be better next year, Carson Wentz or Trey Lance, who would you choose? Carson Wentz. Those are not like great quarterbacks, but on average, it's saying, like, based on the data, that it thinks that Lance won't be that good. So there are other good players on the 49ers, and I'm not disputing that. But when you're starting from that standpoint from a quarterback, it's really hard. So we have them really low. I think Dallas is the team that we're higher on than most. We have them at 6 last year. This one's a little bit – I'll say this. I think there's a decent counter here, which is to say part of this is the defense, which did play well last season. And you could say it was turnover-driven last year, and that might have been fluky. And I think that is kind of fair. But Dallas was a sneaky, efficient team last year. Through the regular season last year, efficiency, which is just our, expected points added per play adjusted for garbage time metric, Dallas was second. And so that was – to me, that was kind of remarkable when we think about the numbers last season and which teams played well. Dallas played pretty well last year. And so it looks at that and says, yeah, you lost Amari Cooper. That doesn't help. It's assuming a healthy Michael Gallup. But Dallas is a team that has shown flashes, and we like a little bit better than everyone else. They also have, they're playing an easy division. So from a projection standpoint, that helps.
Yeah, it certainly does. And a team playing in a very, very brutal division is any team that is playing in the AFC West, rather. And as I'm looking at this, you guys like the Chargers most. Now, it's by a narrow margin. You like them all. You got the Chargers at 9.9. You've got the Broncos at 9.5. And I'm speaking of projected wins. You got Kansas City at 9.4, and then Vegas at 8.8. But what I was surprised by is that that you guys have the Chargers ahead of the other teams, especially ahead of Kansas City, despite the loss of Tyreek Hill. Like, they've done it over and over. And again, it's small. It's a small variance, but you have them even better as a Super Bowl team. You have them more likely to make the Super Bowl than the Chiefs by a negligible amount, and the exact same win probability in the Super Bowl as the Chiefs. That surprised me a little bit, although I love the Chargers. I love their roster. It just feels like maybe a year too soon for me.
Okay, so that part didn't surprise me, but you know what did surprise me is that we gave the Broncos a 1% better chance to win the AFC West than the Chiefs, and that floored me, right? I was thinking, well, hang on a second here, because we think the Chiefs are still pretty good without Tyreek Hill, but it comes down to schedule. If you look at the teams that everyone has to play, the Chiefs have a brutal stretch. And if you go for the three opponents, each team has three opponents that their division mates don't play, right? And the Chiefs' three are the Bucs, Bills, and Bengals. How rough is that? And the Broncos get the Falcons, Dolphins, Browns, and the Broncos get Panthers, Jets, Ravens. So there's a huge gap there. And, we know that these divisions have come down to a game or two, and that can really swing it. So I think it's when we – being like you said, it's really narrow, the difference here between these teams. But when it comes to why the model just edge the Chargers ahead in Super Bowl chance, just edge the Broncos ahead in chance to win the division, it's because of that schedule.
When you went through this, and I don't know if you were able to isolate, but we've talked about looking, obviously, with the Broncos, it's Russell Wilson is the factor. Devontae Adams goes from the Packers to the Raiders. Tyreek Hill goes to the Dolphins. Deshaun Watson obviously comes to the Browns. Who was the biggest needle mover, maybe in a positive way? And then from a non-quarterback perspective, who was the biggest needle mover, maybe in a negative way, that hurt its former team the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I think in the biggest needle mover in a positive way, it has to be Russell Wilson. We're talking about just a huge upgrade from Drew Lock to Wilson. I can't see how that's not.
Right.
I'm gonna vamp while I try and guess here. I don't know a specific perfect way to do this, but I think the answer is going to be Adams.
Yeah.
If we're talking about non-quarterback movement, because the other fact is it's you said also hurting their team, right? And so the Packers, when with what's left there in Green Bay at wide receiver, and wide receiver probably being the most important non-quarterback position. To leave a group with Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard and Christian Watson down from Devontae Adams at wide receiver one, that's just a huge drop off. And there's a lot to like about Green Bay. I think we're still at 2 there, and I think part of that's because you're getting They were really good last year without Bakhtiari and without Jair Alexander, without Elton Jenkins for a long time, and they're getting those guys back. So there's reason to be optimistic about Green Bay, but I think there's no question that was really costly to their offense.
Seth, we love this conversation
That's
with you
great.
every year and love the insight you provide. Thanks for your time today, pal.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do it.
All right, that's Seth Walder, ESPN sports analytics expert. Aditi Kinkabala coming up here in about 12 minutes from now. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. You're thinking about upgrading your enterprise operating systems but can't afford the downtime and disruption that goes with a major overhaul. Beau here for my friends at EOX Vantage, data scientists, also business operations experts. Your EOX Vantage team does not take a rip and replace approach to improving your operating systems. Instead, they help you build onto what you already have so you make the best use of your investments, both old and new. So if you're fearing your employees will stress out over your new systems, EOX Vantage works to ensure your people can easily adapt to new workflows at a comfortable pace. You can start out by making easily manageable changes and add on more when the time is right. Read how other business owners have overhauled their systems without overwhelming their people at eoxvantage.com. What is the, I don't even want you to think about this. I want to know your first thought. Longest acceptable distance to drive for a one-night stay. A one-night road trip. What is the longest distance that you would acceptably drive for a one-night road trip?
4 hours.
Yes! That's right. That is correct.
And that's felt high.
That's the number.
I was curious.
But that's the number.
Yeah.
You hit it.
No more than that.
No more than
Who
that.
wants you to drive more than that for a one-night stay? Obviously, I know who. Why?
No one is. I was having this discussion in respect to my dad and uncle driving back to Montana and all that they're doing. And I was thinking about what is the difference between what is a road trip that's an acceptable distance. And I said for one night, because what they did was crazy and all that. But I mean, but for a night, 4 hours is the number.
That's the max. And like, that means you're up at 8, on the road at 8. So you get there by noon so that you can have the day. Then you have the night. You wake up the next day. You can have at least lunch, whatever, and then decide when you're going to leave.
You're probably going to want to leave
about 4.
No later than, God, of course I was going to say 4.
Yeah.
No later than 4. You're home at 8. That's what you're at. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a lot.
How about a minimum of 4-night stay? Does that open it up a little bit? Are you willing to do 8?
Multiple stay, I'm willing to do 8, yeah. We did. When we went for our anniversary, we went to North Carolina, which was 8, and we had 3 nights, I want to say.
Yeah. Kids in the mix, I still feel like I need even more time to justify the 8.
Yeah. 8 was fine because we got up in the morning, got in there in the early afternoon, were able to have a nice dinner the first night, and we had 2 full days there, and then we did I think we had lunch and then came home on the last day.
Right, yeah. So that's doable. 4 is the correct answer.
8's a long way to go. It really is.
8's a long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know people that will try to drive like to South Carolina from here.
For a day?
No. For like spring break. Or they'll drive for like in the summer for like a vacation.
Okay.
Or they'll drive down there and they have kids.
Yeah.
And to me, I just feel like that's impossible. That to me with the kids, 8 seems, I mean, I drove back from Newark, which wasn't pure joy.
No.
And that was 8.5.
Yeah.
With traffic. But I wouldn't do that for leisure.
No.
I did that out of necessity.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's
I'm
right
with
on the
you,
edge of it.
100%.
All right, 4. We'll ask Aditi what her answer is on an acceptable date for a one-day road trip.
Yeah, and she does a lot of them.
She does a lot of them.
Yeah.
I also think on a day and back, 2 hours is that's it. Day in same
like
day.
Same day?
Yeah. Like I can drive to Columbus and come back here in a day and it's fine.
It's not great.
It ain't great, but it's fine.
Doable. Yeah.
It's fine.
Agreed.
But anything more,
absolutely.
like if somebody said, "Oh, you got to go to Dayton and back," nope, not doing it.
Yeah, same.
Tickets for all Cleveland Browns games are on sale now. For more information, visit clevelandbrowns.com. Aditi Kinkabala coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family-owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Well, this feels good to say. Out on the hotline, Browns media contributor Aditi Kinkabala joining us on the hotline. That sounds pretty good to us, Aditi. Thank you so much for your time. Before we get into all the football stuff, I do have to ask you a non-football question. Nathan and I were having a discussion. What is the longest acceptable drive for a one-day road trip?
That is so funny that you're talking about that because on Pittsburgh radio, they were just having that conversation yesterday. Do you mean like a one-off, like my parents are dropping me 4 hours away to Cornell and then driving home 4 hours after, or do you mean on a daily basis?
No. One-off. You take maybe you and the kids. It's 4 hours, whatever the number would be, 6, 5, 3, maybe it's 1, whatever. How long in the car is acceptable for a one-off, one-day road trip? Not a commute. That's a different conversation. I think we can all acknowledge.
There's a totally different answer if there are kids in the car or they're not kids in the car.
Yes.
That's also correct.
It's like 30 minutes each way.
That's right. That's correct answer.
There are not kids in the car. What could I do? Well, I've regularly the last few years done Pittsburgh to Cleveland, which is 2:15, 2.5 in one day. So 2.5 in the morning, cover the Browns all day, and then 2.5 back. That's probably.
It's reasonable, right?
I haven't done the Bills. Yeah, I haven't done the Bills in a day. The Bills are 3+, and I've never done Cincinnati in one day, which is 5 each way.
Yeah, no.
So.
What if there were a resort?
What
if there's a resort on the other end of it, and
you get a one-night
and you
stay
get a
in the
one-night stay in the resort, and they're going to pamper
So
you?
you get the one-night stay in the resort.
Yes.
Well, then you need to make sure there's enough hours left in the day to enjoy the resort.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You don't want to drive more than 6, do you?
Yeah.
No, we said 4. 4 was our limit. That's the most I would drive.
Really?
Yeah.
On one-night stay. Yeah. We
There
believe
it is.
that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think if it's only one night, then that seems fairly reasonable.
Oh, wait.
Although my parents are in New Jersey, and we do 6. We'll do 6 on a Friday and then 6 back on a Sunday.
Two-night
Two
stay,
nights.
though.
Two
Two-night
nights.
stay. That gives
But
you.
I guess-
I can get behind that.
You at least have one full day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
So
get
are
behind
you
that.
guys saying that I'm a better road warrior than you are?
Fact.
That I have a
Perhaps.
higher top
Perhaps we
on
are.
the road?
Yeah, there's
I
no
think
doubt.
you-
Although I will
that's it.
say I did do in the COVID season, I did Baltimore and back same day for the game. So I got up
Right.
at, I think, 4 in the morning, drove to Baltimore, did the game. Was not one that I enjoyed being at. We got smacked.
Nathan, how far is that drive?
Like 5.5, and then from here I did Cincinnati that same season, same day, which was 4-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baltimore,
Yeah, I
that
can't
was the
imagine
very
that because-
no. Well, if you remember, Aditi,
Yeah,
that was our
because the
season opener.
working takes so much out of you.
Yeah.
Oh, I was at that game, that Browns and Ravens season opener. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
there.
Me,
Just
you.
Getting in the car after working that game.
Yeah, you know who was there? Me, you, a couple of our camera guys, and like the 10-piece Ravens band that was having a field day, and I was not enjoying their score that they were providing to the action in front of me.
Oh my gosh! But what a statement on the Browns that year, turning things around after that opener.
That's right.
That was. So let's get into this. This is so great. So we introduced Browns media contributor. You're doing
what
some
do you
stuff
do?
with us. This is exciting. What are you doing? And welcome
Funny,
aboard.
because let me tell you. Yeah, well, thank you. That popped up, I guess, on the website at some point this weekend, and somebody found it. And I saw Nathan get peppered with questions, and my Twitter certainly exploded.
Yes.
And I don't, there may be some announcements in the future, but there are no major announcements right now. I'm just hoping Nathan will let me ride on his coattails for a little while.
Oh,
He'll
please.
pull me along as a little intern. If Nathan will let me be an intern, then maybe I get to keep that contributor title right
Well,
there.
yeah, it's a very nice title, and indeed, if I have anything to do with it, of course you're going to keep that. And then, as you said, I don't know if there were some scores dropped for the people right there, but as we say on the show, pay attention to the scores, and maybe major
Yeah.
announcements coming. I feel like those were some scores there, but
See,
there we go. Maybe.
you know what? There has always been a special affinity on my end for the way that the Browns do media. And every NFL team has its own internal media shop. But the Browns really do have a very good commitment to providing as much information to their fans as they can. There's always been a lot of creativity. especially think about certain videos that were put out that there's a fearlessness, there's a willingness to live a little bit on the edge.
Oh, yes.
And I also feel that Browns media, Nathan, is as fair as you can expect an in-house media team to be. You know, there are
That's
some
a nice thing to
teams
say.
where you just sort of feel like you're getting the propaganda and that's it. And there are others that you feel like, okay, you're getting a little bit, you know, you're getting a real window into what's happening. And so I am extremely grateful and excited that the Browns are saying, hey, come and do a few things with us.
Yeah, we're excited too, and I know it started Browns Countdown on the night of the draft. You were here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea talking with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Barry, and hopefully, as we said, we'll see more of that. And now your
Making them laugh.
You did make them laugh, which is, by the way, no small feat with those two. That is something you can put that right on the resume.
I feel
Yeah.
like I earned points for that. Seriously, not just one, but both of them laughed.
Yeah, no, that's not easy. That's not easily accomplished. But you also did that, and then you went and dropped this Cade York article for us on clevelandbrowns.com, which I just tweeted out for everybody to check out. And I think that's where people saw you and the contributor right under your name. Everybody got very excited about that. But what kind of stood out to you about Cade? I'm actually going to talk to him tonight on the Browns Live Meet the Rookies special. What stood out to you about Cade and doing this research and getting to learn more about the Browns kicker?
It was how relaxed he was. It was how fun he was. And I think that for quite some time, kickers have kind of carried this. You know, you remember it was several years ago. I think it was Rich Eisen who said it first, hey, punters are people too.
Yep.
Or maybe it was Pat McAfee who said it. But the specialists have always kind of seemed on their own. And a lot of it has to do because in practice, the punter and the kicker and the long snapper are sort of doing their own thing and they're on their own field. And in recent years, you've seen kickers really feel, specialists and kickers specifically, feel more part of a team, more engaged. You know, it's Evan McPherson standing right next to Joe Burrow saying, well, I guess I'm going to have to kick us into the AFC title game, you know, and it was that comfort with himself. He told really funny stories. He told me a funny story about his dad taking him to an AC/DC concert and how that led to his parents having a fight. He's like, I'm pretty sure that my dad had to sleep on the couch for a few weeks. I thought that was hysterical. You know, he let his guard down. I gave him a chance to talk some trash about Evan McPherson because, of course, in that Bod game where he kicked that 57-yard field goal and won the game for LSU, but Evan McPherson did have a chance to kick and tie the game, and his, I believe it was a 51-yarder, McPherson's kick fell short. So I said, you know, I gave Cade a chance to talk a little trash, and he just refused. He was probably the only kick Evan McPherson ever missed in his life. And he's like, and I'm sure that he would trade that miss for all the big kicks he made in the NFL. And I just thought that it was like, okay, this is a guy that has a lot of confidence, who's really smart, who's going to be easy to get along with, who understands what it means to be a teammate. I mean, he was a star soccer player, and who also is not going to sit and get, like, wrapped up in a big ego in any way. So, I don't know. I liked his demeanor. I liked how he said that he wants to spend as much of the summer up here as he possibly can and be kicking at First Energy Stadium.
Cool kid. I mean, he's just a real cool customer. Yeah. You know, he kind of checks all the boxes on the things that you want out of a kicker. We think and optimistic that it all works out. Just big picture, and you spent a lot of your career obviously covering this part of the NFL and the AFC North and have a very good handle on it. In terms of what happened this offseason in this division and how tight it is top to bottom, and I think most people would acknowledge it. It feels like Pittsburgh, from a talent standpoint, is at the bottom of the four. And yet they're the Steelers, and they don't have losing records ever. And so this is kind of the spot you're in, and I'm wondering if you can recall the division ever being like this from top to bottom, the way that it appears to be heading into next season.
No, and you know what? I think that's sort of the magic of this, guys. Is this going to be a division that has three teams in the playoffs, or is this going to be a division that just beats each other up so badly and it ends up so black and blue that there's only one team limping out of it? And the thing that I would say about the Steelers is I was actually just talking to a member of the coaching staff about rookie minicamp, and he said that Kenny Pickett's demeanor was more – now, I fully expect – I'll say this right now – I expect Mitch Trubisky to start the season. Having said that,
Okay.
the coach that I spoke to was very impressed with Kenny Pickett's demeanor, and not only that, he said that he feels really strongly about what George Pickens and Calvin Austin can be. Now, they're rookies. We haven't seen them do it on this stage. We don't know what that actually means, but we all saw what Jamar Chase did as a rookie a year ago. So I'm not going to completely diminish the possibility that a rookie wide receiver can come out and just completely blow people away. So now the Steelers did indeed improve their offensive line, something that the Ravens needed to do and did, and something that the Bengals needed to do and did.
Yeah.
The Steelers did indeed improve their offensive line. We saw what Najee Harris did with no offensive line a year ago and with the quarterback that couldn't run any sort of the play-action pass game in any way. Now you've got a more athletic quarterback, whether it's Trubisky or Pickett. You are going to see more of the play-action pass game. You are seeing a better line, and you potentially have more explosive talent at wide receiver. And this defense, by the way, was a very, very good defense that couldn't stop the run, but in a lot of ways couldn't stop the run because there was no Tyson Alualu, there was no Stephon Tuitt, and both of those guys are back.
Yep.
And there's an upgraded inside linebacker as well. So I wouldn't write them. I mean, it's impossible to write them off because even when Mike Tomlin has to start Duck Hodges, he's almost making the playoffs. There's something about them that they always compete, but I wouldn't necessarily sit here and say they're at the bottom talent-wise. Now, the Bengals get denigrated every which way. They just went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they're returning every single coach, and they're returning everybody. And Joe Burrow is going to be better this year than he was a year ago because that knee is better, and he's got more confidence. So hard to disagree with them. The Browns, I feel like, have had the most talent top to bottom for a few years now. And now you've got, again, but with the Browns, the big question is availability.
Sure.
How available is your quarterback? And how much does the offense change from QB1 to QB2? I think maybe you don't run as much gun stuff, but other than that, the offense should still be pretty dynamic, even if it's Jacoby Brissett. But
Yep.
It's a big difference if it's Jacoby Brissett, Nathan Wright, for
Of course.
like 4 games, or is it Jacoby Brissett for 8 games?
And I think that's the question that a lot of people are waiting on. That's, as you mentioned, that's the biggest thing. We just had Seth Walder on from ESPN doing their analytics, and he said, our projections are based on 16 games or 17 games now of Deshaun Watson, but we don't know what that is ultimately going to be and how that plays out for the Browns. But as we saw, the schedule is at least favorable in the early going. The toughest game obviously will be that Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then things absolutely ramp up for the Browns starting in Week 5. And speaking of that schedule, Didi, are there any games on that one that jumped out to you as, okay, this is going to be a big-time one or one that you're very excited for?
That's so hard for me at this point of the season. And I always say this, right? Because even you've had a rookie minicamp, what do we really – I just told you what a Steelers coach told me, but what do we really know?
Sure.
It's football in short. And we don't know who's healthy yet, and we don't know what the runs are. And so, we don't know who's going to be on what run, who's going to overachieve, who's going to underachieve, because in the NFL, and that's the magic of the NFL, it happens every year. Somebody is better than you expected, and
Of
somebody
course.
is worse than you expected. So for me, it's those division games. Because
Yep.
I'm as biased as they come. I think this is the best division in all of football. We didn't even talk about the Ravens.
Yeah.
But, you've got a former MVP playing for a contract, ostensibly, and in Lamar Jackson right there. I don't know. You think about that magical game that the Browns and the Ravens had that COVID year. Not the game one, Nathan, but the later in the season one when poor Lamar Jackson had to run to the bathroom or had cramps.
Monday night. Yes.
Yeah. Those games just all have something special to them. Ravens Steelers, they're like basketball games. No matter what happens in the first 3 quarters, it always gets decided in the last 5 minutes.
Yep.
Browns and Steelers has gotten angrier and nastier. Bengals and Browns, as good as the Bengals were a year ago, they couldn't beat the Browns, and so all of that, seeing that, those are the games that you circle, because there's a different energy from the fans too. And I think that what the fans bring to the stadium really adds a very different element.
Absolutely. And we're going to get 2 of those in prime time. Perhaps all 3 home games will be in prime time. We don't know when the game against the Ravens late in the season. It could be a Saturday where it'd be in prime time, or it could be on Sunday. But we've got Thursday night against the Steelers, Monday night on Halloween here against the Bengals. That's going to be a lot of fun. And Aditi, before we let you go, you did mention the Ravens there. What do you think is going on, or what are you hearing is going on with Lamar Jackson? Because it just feels odd to me. I don't know if it is odd. I don't know if anybody else thinks it's odd. Do you think it's odd what's going on with Lamar Jackson, what they're saying about Lamar Jackson? What do you know about that situation?
Well, so there's a few things at play. He doesn't have a formal agent.
Right.
And he and his mom work very, very closely together. But the team can't negotiate with his mom because his mom isn't registered with the NFLPA. And so the team has to talk to the player. And everybody in the Ravens front office that I've spoken to has said Lamar just doesn't have the urgency right now to get a deal done. I mean, and even Eric DeCosta is on the record having said that.
Yeah.
We'll do it when Lamar wants to do it. But now I have also heard, I'll say on the flip side, that it might behoove the Ravens to not have this done right now, because you see how much guaranteed money the Browns obviously threw out there, and you see what money is out there for quarterbacks right now. And when we talk about availability, I think there have been some questions about Lamar Jackson's availability.
Sure.
And certainly last year there were. So before the Ravens commit a massive amount of money, why not see what another year brings you? I do think, and I'm taking kind of like a little bit of a left turn here, guys, but I think we're going to see a change in the way quarterback deals are done. And I think that they are ultimately going to have more guaranteed money shorter. Because the salaries, the average per year is skyrocketing so much that if you're willing to bet on yourself, you're better off doing a 3-year fully guaranteed deal and then doing another year in 3 years than committing to 10 years and 4 years from now finding out that you're just middle of the pack or grossly underpaid.
Yeah, you're seeing that already. Aditi, good stuff. We appreciate you. Welcome to the team. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And Nathan, I hope I won't turn into the annoying little sister. I hope you'll let me tag along a little bit.
Anytime, Aditi. Anytime.
Literally any time.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't do anything. He's always available. He's ready.
That's right.
Guys,
Thank
so
you.
much
All right,
for
thanks,
having me.
Aditi.
All right. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, be sure to check out Browns Live Meet the Rookies, presented by Vivid Seeds, hosted by Z, tonight at 7, clevelandbrowns.com, the Browns mobile app, the Browns YouTube channel. Hear from the newest members of the Cleveland Browns roster with exclusive interviews. That's Browns Live Meet the Rookies, presented by Vivid Seeds, tonight at 7. What can we look forward to on that program tonight, Z?
Yeah, I'm fired up for that. It's going to be me, and we're going to have sit down with some new, never-before-seen interviews. It's going to be some, not kind of the stuff they've been asked a lot before. We're going to try to get to know them as people and their inspirations, their whys. We'll be joined by Perion Winfrey, David Bell, Cade York, Alex Wright, and M.J. Emerson, the cornerback who was the first pick for the Browns in this year's draft. So just kind of fun talking to them a little bit about their rookie minicamp experience, going back a little bit through the draft, but really mostly who they are, what they've thought about Cleveland, what they've thought about the fans, who are their
Been here a couple
inspirations.
weeks.
2 weeks.
And most of the guys.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
A couple weeks here. So that's all
Yeah.
right. So let's look forward to. That's tonight at 7. By the way, this tells you all you need to know that that the PGA Championship this time of year is a fail. You and I did a 2-hour radio show.
Yep.
It starts tomorrow.
That's right.
We didn't talk anything about it.
No, we mentioned yesterday,
yesterday
the
the
one grouping,
pairing.
but yeah, that's
They blew it, boy.
yeah. They did. I don't like it. I always think it should be the last one. So they're trying to make now the British or the Open is the final major.
They're making golf irrelevant for the casual sports fan by the second week of July.
Which is silly because you can still own August. August is still preseason, and that's where it should
Didn't
be.
August used to have wasn't Firestone like usually August, right around August 1st, last week of July?
Yeah, and then you had the
And then
PGA.
2 weeks later it was the PGA.
Right.
Firestone led into the PGA, much as Muirfield leads into the U.S. Open.
The season went from April to August.
April to August.
Yeah.
A to A, man.
A to A.
What are we doing?
I don't
Now
know. I
it's-
don't like
now
it.
it's done.
I don't like it.
I'm not even ready for it.
No.
It's not in my head that I'm going to be
No, we're
watching.
supposed to have Father's Day is the second.
Yes.
That's the U.S. Open. Then you hit the British, and then you kind of have the big sprint to the finish. You go from April all the way to June. Fine. No big deal. Fine with it. And then July you get the Open, and then you get the PGA, and then that's where it wraps it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they did it. I don't
It's
know
just
what they were
interesting
trying
for
to do.
the PGA Tour's last major of the year is played
Randomly in
Europe.
May.
Well, I'm saying when you go through the 4 majors
Oh,
now, the
right.
final major is actually played across the pond.
Right, but also there was some synergy with it. It felt like the end of the PGA Tour season with the
Yeah.
PGA Championship.
You'd have that, and then you'd have the
Honestly,
Tour
you could have
Championship.
you could have pushed it further if you wanted to.
Sure, just be done before the season starts.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's just strange. So strange. Perry and Winfrey is going to be in studio with us. Browns Live tonight at 7 o'clock, clevelandbrowns.com, the Browns mobile app, and the Browns YouTube channel. Set your DVRs. That's presented by our good friends at Vivid Seeds tonight at 7. Z will crush that, as he does most things.
Can't wait.
The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.